That's right. Good evening and welcome everybody to the Orville rewatch podcast, or soon to be the review show. I don't know. I guess it depends on when season 4 comes out. But anyway, we're going to be looking tonight at season 3, episode 3, Mortality Paradox. Oh, no, sorry. Morality Paradox, right? Yeah.
Mortality. No, it's about mortality.
Is it mortality?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
No,
there's a
no
T there.
morality. Well, there's some morality, but
well, not much. Let's be honest. But anyway, this is it. This is where we are. But you know what? I can't do it alone because I wouldn't remember the names of anybody if it wasn't for, of course, Mr. Mustache himself. That's, of course, Mr. Kevin Millard.
Well, I feel like Dave's better at remembering the names than I am. But, yeah, definitely.
You're better at it than Jody.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyone is better at it than me. My dog probably could remember more names than me. But, of course, we have the producer extraordinaire. That is, of course, Mr. Dave Mater.
Glad to be with you guys.
Yes.
Is this the Blue Monday? Is this like the most depressing day of the year? I think.
It's
like
I think for some Americans it is.
Right. Well, it's also Martin Luther King Day, I guess. So, happy MLK Day.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can go full circle, eh?
Yeah.
Well, what can you do? Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Orville.
Of course not.
So how did we feel about this episode, boys?
It's kind of mid for me.
Yeah, it's very mid for me as well.
You know,
I like how weird it is, but it's also kind of boring.
It is a bit boring. Yeah, I'll give you that. The thing that I thought was interesting is it takes like a good 15 minutes before anything of interest really happens. Like they go and they land on the planet, and then they see the school, and then they go through all that stuff, and then it's like all of a sudden you see this big huge alien thing, and it's like, oh. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm with Dave. It's mid. It's definitely not an exciting episode. I don't know if you guys felt it was exciting, but I definitely didn't. But
I didn't remember really how it ended exactly, and so there was a little bit of excitement in the rewatch because I had forgotten what happened.
This is an episode I totally forgot about. This isn't even the episode that I thought it was when we were talking about it yesterday. So.
Yeah, no, like I remember last week I thought it was the time travel episode and I got excited.
Yeah, it's not the time travel episode.
But it's not the time travel episode. There's that bully in the high school section of the episode who just makes me think, oh, Doyle rules.
Oh, Doyle rules.
Doyle rules.
A fellow redhead of the guy who plays Gordon Malloy. I'm waiting to see if the fun facts reveals if those guys are like related somehow, because I feel like they might be. But the question really is, you can officially drink anywhere, Sam. Oh, that's exciting.
that's exciting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's got to be official.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, my son turns 21 today.
Well,
so there you go.
Ooh, happy birthday, Gideon.
Right. So Gideon's still in the Capricorn days.
I don't know your goofy space hippie crap.
Sam's an Aquarius, completely different.
Good to know. All right. Anyway, well, shall we just get into it, gentlemen? Because I don't think there's a whole lot we need to talk about before we start looking at it.
Sure, let's get into it.
All right. So we start off obviously seeing one of the shuttles, and it's currently docking. When it comes out, we see Tala is there. But and I guess she was on vacation. Well, no, we don't have to give it away yet, Dave.
We can. It's a spoiler review. This is not.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then go ahead.
Well, it's not Tala.
That's not Tala. Yeah,
another thing I forgot about.
Yeah, that one I totally didn't remember that one at all. We see her kind of walk up all the different stairs. She goes and sees Kelly. Basically, she's like, how was your vacation? She's like, great. Can I start now? And she's like, yeah, go ahead. And that's pretty much it. Then we see the Orville is flying towards something. He's in Aquarius.
Gideon's Aquarius. Sorry.
Yes, I believe he is Aquarius, but I don't care. Anyway. But we see Palla's giving away all these chocolate things that her mother makes. I think they were truffles or something.
Chilean chocolate.
Yeah, Chilean truffles or chocolate or something.
It seems in this show that Chilean everything is like prized after, right? Like
It
last
does
week
seem
it
like
was
that,
the
yeah.
Chilean sunstone, and this week it's some Chilean chocolates and like
There was Chilean
Chilean
whiskey.
security officers.
Yeah.
And Mercer makes a note that it's very dense, which might also be foreshadowing. But anyway, and I don't even remember why he was making this face, but he was excited about it.
Because Bortus is trying to get that beach bod for his vacation.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
He's like, Clyden will thank me.
Yeah, Clyden will thank me. And then Isaac mentions that he has picked up signals and essentially population on a planet that used to be derelict. So he looks into that. And they decide, hey, we better go over there and have a look then, because that's supposed to be a sand planet with nothing on it. But now there apparently is people on it.
Do you know what this episode reminds me of? Not in its content, it's a very different episode, but it's like it's a North Star for this show. We're starting off with a Kalon War, and now we're going off to this school in the past to tie back to an episode that we saw before. Like, I normally like the tie-ins, but
the tie-in episode is
like,
the one where they go into the flat universe, right? Is that what they're talking about?
Not the flat universe, but the one where Kelly was worshipped as a god for a while.
Oh yes, okay, yeah, you're right. I remember that.
So I guess that's like the theme of the season, is that like most of these episodes are sequels to previous episodes from the first two seasons, or follow-ups in a way.
Yeah, and does it work? I don't know.
Sometimes it can.
I think
this
that
one
this
doesn't.
like I like the idea of this, like that species that like was having that time dilation thing. So like they would have like 700 years in a couple hours and all that, and it's kind of interesting to see what they've become here. And so from that standpoint, I like the episode, although I don't know if I get enough answers to really find it that interesting, other than,
And I think that's part of the problem of this episode, is that you really, it feels like a filler episode, almost like a clip show episode, but yet there's not really anything achieved at the end of the day. Like, we get to the end, we find out that, this has been concocted by the race of, people that were following Kelly, and it was the planet that was phasing in and out of time, right?
Right.
It's always unsatisfying too at the end when they reveal that they were never in any real danger.
Yeah,
like,
that's always
in every show that does this, it's always by when that reveal happens, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, this episode reminded me a lot of the original series episode Shore Leave, with just a bunch of wacky stuff happening. Yeah. And in that episode, they just find out they're on basically a pleasure planet. But this was not quite that twist. It's more like they were hamsters or rats in a maze or something like that,
Yeah, it's like they were studying the psyche or something. It was kind of weird.
Or, well, we find out that they're mortal now, and they just like to kind of experience things through other people's eyes, I guess. And so that's kind of what the point of this is, I guess, for them. But
all right. Well, so basically they approach the planet, they scan it, they figure out that there's like, I think they said it was like 90 billion people on the planet or something like that. There was definitely a lot more than the last time they were here, I guess is a good way to look at it. More being even one would be more. But anyway, so they take a shuttle down because that's the only way you're going to figure out something. Got to get down there. I did like these external kind of GoPro camera shots. I thought those were kind of neat, especially for
I did too. I like at the end too, when they dock the ship again, they bring it in and then turn it around and put it down. I thought that was really neat. You don't see that a lot.
No, it's
like
usually
Star Trek and whatnot, right?
Usually, like the most you got to see in like Next Gen was like literally the nose of the ship coming in, and that's it. Like you never got to see it actually, like, spin around, maneuver, and stuff like that. I always think they're going to hit that little starfighter ship that they have there, because it's always like in the middle and in the way. So, but apparently, I guess there's enough space. So, what can you do there? But anyway, they come down here and they're like, "This is all trees. This is supposed to be like an urban environment, that's what we scanned and found. And, it's supposed to be like a city basically. And they're like, yeah, no, it's just trees, lots of trees. So they start walking around. They're looking around, trying to see if they can figure out anything. Bortus then figures out that there's a structure a little ways away. They keep walking around, and sure enough, they come across what appears to be a high school, which I guess this is Gordon's psyche that they're in first.
Yeah, well, it all came from their minds, we're told.
Yeah. So I guess this would be.
But it's not necessarily his high school, because I think he would recognize it if it was. I think it's
and like why a 20th century high school would be one that
which he wouldn't have went to, so he would have been long past not conceived yet. So, but Oakwood High School, apparently home of the Tigers.
Home of the Tigers, man. They're gonna win the championship this year. They're bringing in the homecoming.
I hope so.
You noticed the sign, right? The eye of the tiger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was later on in the thing. So anyway, they walk around this school and they're like kind of creeped out by it. And then he tries to leave, and can't leave. So then he's like, Tala, can you open this up? She's like, nope. And then Kelly's like, oh, I'll just shoot the window out. That didn't work either. And then all of a sudden you hear the school bell, and a whole bunch of people are walking around in the hallways, which also confuses them. The thing that I thought was instantly, you kind of know this is some sort of simulation. Nobody really reacts to them.
Yeah.
Like, they don't, like, they did eventually address one of the girls there.
Ashley?
Was her name Ashley?
Sure was.
That's Ashley. Okay. But she had to get to class, guys. She doesn't have time to talk. So, what can you do? And then he asks, what year is it? And the guy's like, wow, what kind of weed are you on, bud? Basically. And he's like, I don't know if I'm high. I might be high.
Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, basically. So anyway, back on the Orville, they're scanning. They can't find the away team. They're gone. They can't see them. And at this point, I can't remember what Isaac says, but it pisses off Miss Bitchy here.
Is that her name?
Yeah, well, she's a bitch through the whole series. Like, it's you know what? Honestly, one of the best episodes is when she dies.
She's Pulaski for you in this show.
She's basically Pulaski. That's a very good way to actually. You know what?
It's like season 2 of TNG. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, you're about to have a whole lot of fun, or not fun actually. But anyway, Charlie basically she's mad and she's like, we can't trust Isaac. I don't even remember what the context was. All I know is she got pissy and turned around and started.
They lose contact with the boarding party. So Lamar, who's in command, orders Isaac and Dr. Finn to go look for them, basically. And Charlie is her name.
I know. I said it.
Miss Bitchy, I believe.
She is Miss Bitchy.
Charlie
Pulaski. Let's just call her that from now on.
This is
Charlie Pulaski.
I don't know her last name, so we'll just call it Charlie Pulaski.
Well, like, I think it's I guess she has a similar arc in some ways, but she's a different thing than Pulaski. Pulaski was just kind of like thinking androids initially were sort of irrelevant or not worth human consideration, whereas Charlie has legitimate hatred for Isaac.
Well, she does, but in the previous episode, we saw how Isaac helped a situation, so it's like. I'm not totally sure why she's all pissy, but I think
it's just to remind us as the audience that don't worry, Pulaski. She still doesn't like Isaac. She's not warming up to Isaac.
All right,
so
that's good.
Yeah.
All right, we wouldn't want her to be warm to Isaac, but anyway, she gets all mad about it, and he says something, and then I guess what was it? Lamar is like, yeah, go take a shuttle down with some security officers and the doctor, and see if you can find them, kind of thing. So this seems like a really bad idea because you've already lost, communication with one away team. Why would you send another one down right away?
To look when you don't have transporters, you got to go look.
That's true. That's true. They don't have
transporters. I do like Lamar here. What an arc for this character from his first day on the ship.
Yeah.
To this guy who's in command and in command. People are telling him no, and he's like, no, you're gonna do it.
Yeah,
Just
you're gonna
do
do
it.
it because that's what I told you to do, basically. So he
Yeah.
knows where he should be and what he's doing. So that's cool.
Lamar does a good job. I do find it odd that the captain, first officer, and second officer all go on this mission.
Seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's the whole point of having 3 of them, that one of them can always be on the ship.
Yeah, well, it's just like the missile keys. They have 2 for a reason. It's not. Yeah, it's not just one. But anyway, so we see. I think it was Bortus that walks into the classroom. Yeah, Bortus walks into the classroom, and I can't remember what he asks him, but he says something to him. And
They kind of just ignore this teacher.
Yeah, because the teacher's like, "You need to get out of here," and he's like, and she's like trying to beat the window down and stuff like that, and he's scanning.
Oh no! The guy says, "Can I help you?" He goes, "I'm looking for a way out."
I'm looking for a way out, and
Go
then
talk
he's
to
like,
your guidance counselor.
Yeah, go talk to your guidance counselor. So, I'm surprised they didn't do the old trope where they looked in the mirror and they're different people or something. Like that would have been.
Yeah, I know where the reveal comes later, but I think this whole thing with Tala is done differently than they typically do it on TV shows, at least in the past. Where like an infiltrator character like this, there's always like some kind of a tell, like a facial expression, some shifty eyes, but there's none of that here with this.
No, you thought this was her, and
she has all her strength. She seems just like her. There's no tell.
She's talking about her alcoholic father. She's bringing chocolates, and she's trying to knock things down. And I've watched this already, and I forgot that she was an infiltrator. And watching it again, I'm like, oh, right,
I was the same way.
So, which I like. I like the way they did it in this episode versus like you watch any, I don't know, that episode where Picard gets switched. With
there was subtle signs that it wasn't Picard,
and Picard's giving like toasts and like the and doing like singing songs in 10 forward, and you're like, this doesn't seem like Picard at all.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's not the Picard I know, as Riker says, I believe. Anyway, we see Gordon. Gordon's walking around, and these guys just jump him. They jump him, throw him into the bathroom. They start beating on him. Turns out that these guys are working for a crime boss. Randall, crime boss.
Randall O'Doyle, maybe. I don't know.
Probably O'Doyle. Yeah, he rules.
O'Doyle rules. Yeah. Okay. Like, I forgot that Adam wasn't on tonight, but he being the oldest of us, I was like, did this really happen where bullies beat up people for money? Like,
yes.
Because
yes,
that never like there were bullies and there was bullying, but like just beating somebody up for the sake of it, like that wasn't really my experience.
You get the impression that he owes him money for a reason, like it was drugs or something like that. But I don't know why.
Never just not for no reason really.
No, there would be like, you owe them $50 for,
the lunch money thing, I think, is more of a TV trope than anything that ever really happened.
Yeah,
or
nobody was going to take
just
my
for
$250.
being a nerd. Like, I'm going to beat you up just for being a nerd, or just for
that usually is just mental abuse. Not really. It doesn't really get into the realm of the
physical part.
But every show I watched as a kid, like, and I guess this was like of the boomer experience, right? When they were kids, that anybody different got beat up and maybe their money taken or something like that. Like The Simpsons or various shows had this kind of thing, and I was like, that's not really how bully, like it would be more like mental or sort of
ostracization,
right? Yeah. But just, I'm gonna beat you up and you better pay somebody by the end of the day, like, especially in a 21st century type context, this felt kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, we see Tala and Bortus. There we go. Got the name. It came in eventually. And they notice that his scanner is on the floor. They figure out that he's in the bathroom, and they're trying to get into the bathroom, but again, the door is like solid locked.
Sam got beat up when he was bullied. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
But did they want to beat you up just for the sake of it? Or did you say something?
Yeah, were you mouthy?
Yeah.
That's why I got beat up. Shocker.
Well, that would be a reason, right? Like, at least, like, you could...
I got mouthy with some kids that were definitely bigger than me. But, what can you do? Anyway, we see he's getting the old swirly, for the sake of it. Oh, well, that's terrible. Hopefully, O'Doyle will eventually see the same fate that O'Doyle's did.
Yeah, the Doyle rules, and they go off a cliff and blow up.
Yeah, they slip on a banana peel on the side of the road, go off a cliff. But anyway, that's we see him getting the swirlies, which I don't think I ever saw anybody get a swirly in high school, but
yeah, like the hazing.
I heard
for
of
grade
it, but I never saw it.
Grade 9's got hazed, and like I saw that kind of stuff. Like I never experienced it directly, but I narrowly avoided, I think, a swirly or something of that sort, because they thought. I looked older than I was, even though I was actually younger than my grade. Like I was big and tall, so I didn't necessarily stand out. But a lot of like the younger brothers, especially of other kids, like who were in grade 9. I watched one guy, he got pen written all over his face, and they wrote all kinds of like.
Oh, they did that stuff.
Gay, and they would draw dicks on his face and make him go to class and whatever, and this kind of stuff, But
yeah, there was always some hazing. But anyway, so they eventually get in, and they find him, and he's obviously not in a great state. And he's got blood on him and everything. And Bortus scans him and says it's real. Like, this is a real injury, which is kind of funny because literally a couple seconds later, like at the end of the episode, really, they basically all of a sudden he's completely fine. When the reveal happens, right? So
we find it's even before that. It's even when they think they get out the first time, their injuries are gone, and they think
that's right. Yes, yeah.
So, but at this point, that they're thinking, we can get hurt here, we can die here, so
yes.
We better be on our toes.
Yeah. So with that, we see them. They decide they're going to go to the cafeteria, which is always a great place. Typical cafeteria, and actually this is pretty accurate. This is kind of what our cafeteria looked like when I was in high school. This type of idea. And here we have the obligatory mean girl who says that they can't sit at their table. I was hoping like Bortus would like crush her or something, but
I love it when he says though, I am prepared to take them by force.
Yeah, I am prepared to take them by force. But anyway, so they end up finding these kind of nerds kicking around. I guess these are the typical nerds or the outcasts. And they get more information on this Randall character who apparently is. He's advised to just pay him. It would be better.
You should really pay him. That was
you should just really pay him. Blah blah blah. So anyway, meanwhile on the ship we have obviously what's her name? Can't remember. Claire. There we go. Claire and the two security officers are meeting Isaac in the shuttle bay. She seems really kind of almost harsh with Isaac during this. Like, there's no interaction with the two of them. So I don't know if that's a runoff from a previous episode, but
she walks down the hall. This whole sequence of her walking down the hall with these is very like military-esque. Like, she is.
Well, even the music, like the score during this is very thump, 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 that kind of.
And I was watching it going, she's the medical officer. Like, we don't need all this.
I think it's a misdirect just to give us a sense that Claire and Isaac and this crew are going to come to the rescue, which doesn't come to pass at all. Either,
no,
right?
Not even close. Yeah.
But I guess every time you think you know where the episode's going, it kind of takes a little bit of a twist.
It does, yeah, which I'll give it credit for that, because definitely I didn't even remember this episode. Like, that's how non-existent this episode is in my mind. And I know I've seen it because I recognize the scene from it. But.
Yeah, I knew I had seen it because I recognized the school and the plane and
yeah, the plane scenes I think are fantastic. I think they did a good job.
I could not remember what happened though.
Yeah, no, neither did I. So anyway, they're on their way down to the planet. It turns out now school's out. Not for the summer, but for the day. And of course, everybody leaves the home of the Oakwood Tigers because that's important. And they're like, oh, well, I guess we better go find, because they got information that he hangs out behind the rafter thingies or whatever they're called.
This generic high school in the middle of a forest with no roads.
Yeah, but it's got quite a lot of buildings.
But it's got like apartment buildings around it, doesn't it? Like at one point
there's a couple of scenes that you can see, like, over in this area over here, you can see kind of a building here. This is obviously not the same structure either, so we got that as well. But overall, it's it's interesting anyway. But so we end up seeing them all go on there, and he's like, "So you Randall?" And he goes, "Nope, that's Randall over there." And they flip around, and it's this big, huge brute thing.
That like like
this is where I'm like, "Oh, wait a second, okay."
Yeah, the first time I watched this, I was like, that was not what I was expecting. Of
No,
course, I
yeah.
did expect it this time, but
I totally forgot. I didn't expect it at all.
I don't like it.
It's dumb.
Too dumb. Like it's
very. It reminds me of Duke Nukem Forever. If you've ever played that game, it's literally almost the same thing. But anyway, so they're like, they get the phasers out. They start shooting at this thing. I love this thing here. That looks so cool. I like that. So that was good. And they got him. And then Tala, which I guess I didn't capture, but Tala grabs part of a bench and then throws it and impales it in his head. But
again, it's not Tala.
And again, nobody reacts.
Nobody reacts
to that. Nobody finds that weird or.
Well, and if you look how the people in the background, like they're being chased by this huge fucking thing, and nobody in the background is really reacting at all. Yeah. They're just like, it's not even happening, which should be an indication on why we would.
And there's the moment where Gordon's eyes go all hazy.
Yeah, right? I did miss that one. I know I missed it, and I was too lazy to go back. But anyway, they run through. They eventually run into a building, and all of a sudden they're here, and they're like, "What the hell's going on here?" Airplane. And they're on an airline flight. Which is, of course, always some fake name, but we'll probably find that out later. So Bortus goes to try the door. Door doesn't work. He can't open it again. And the lady tells them to take their seats. So they take their seats. And Gordon's like, yeah, no, something's going weird here, man. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then we go back to Claire and the team coming down. They come down, they land, and we see a completely different environment than the environment that they landed on. The other team landed on. So it's like, are they in the same place? And she's like, well, the coordinates are the same. Like, but there's no thing of the ship or anything like that. And this, of course, makes Lamar very anxious. And she's like, yeah, no, I don't see anything. And so do they end up sending them back? Yeah, he sends them back, right?
Well, he calls them back eventually. Yeah.
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 But it's left kind of ambiguous so that you don't really know, like, if maybe they pushed harder to keep searching.
Yeah. Well, and you don't know if they would hit a wall or something if they started walking where they were supposed to or something. But anyway, we go back to the plane, which is obviously in not optimal weather conditions.
Atlantic Airlines, is that what it's called? Yeah. Atlantic Airways.
Atlantic Airways. There you go. It's just like pretty much any other movie. But we get this. We get the scene where they're all chatting, and then at this point, this is when it starts getting rough.
Now, Jody, as somebody who doesn't like to fly, did you like hearing about how planes get struck by lightning all the time?
Well, I do know that they get struck by lightning, and I know because they're not grounded, it doesn't actually affect them that bad. But I do know that from science class. But I still absolutely despise these scenes. I don't like them at all. This is the reason why I don't like to fly. Is these type of scenes, the assholes.
Plane crash scenes.
Yeah. So anyway, they try to get into the cockpit because they're like, we got to talk to the, something's wrong here. And so Tala opens up the cockpit door. Now, keep in mind, this is post 9/11, so it's got the nice secured lock door that you can't get in easy because of obviously security and whatnot. And she just pulls it apart. She just literally takes it off like a closet door. Not a problem. And they look into the cockpit, and sure enough, nobody's in the damn cockpit.
There's no pilot. So
there's no pilot. Nobody.
Gordon tries to fly it, and then the flight attendant's like, "Please take your seats." They're like, "You mad? There's no pilots."
Yeah, there's no pilots. Are you mad? And then she just keeps shrieking on, so Kelly just completely clocks her out. And then everybody just looks at her like, "What the hell did you just do?" And they're like, "She's like, it was distracting." Anyway, and we see the plane is now in pretty heavy weather, and it's all over the fucking place. Like it's zipping back and forth like this. So clearly, we don't have a handle on things right now. And again, this is hard to capture, unfortunately, in stills, but we do get some decent shots. And he's trying to think. Now, anybody who knows aviation knows that right now they're doing 300 plus knots. which is about what is it, like 0.3 Mach, I guess. So it's
209 there, right? 209 knots.
209 knots. Oh, actually, it is going nuts. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay. But the thing that's more concerning about this is if you look over the side, their altimeter says that they're currently at 1,200 feet, which is kind of scary as hell. So anyway,
Pretty low.
209 knots is 387 kilometers an hour.
387 kilometers an hour. Okay, so there you go. But so anyway, he says to Gordon says to Mercer, hit the flaps. He hits the flaps. Now I don't know how Mercer has any sort of information on how these things work. I'm sure they don't use planes now.
But Gordon's a pilot, and so is Ed.
I understand Gordon, and I kind of understand Ed, but neither. I can understand Gordon maybe knowing some of this, but I can't understand Ed knowing. He wouldn't be the kind of guy that would be nostalgic for a plane, I don't think.
Gordon's definitely taking the lead here, but it's.
But I guess he knew flaps, and then all of a sudden we see, in this case, we see Mercer's eyes go. So this must be Mercer's issue.
This is when he thinks he's gonna die. Like so, every time that they think they're gonna die with Gordon, it's with the troll or whatever.
Yeah,
and this is Ed's.
Yeah, and their eyes just go like cloudy white for a second, and then all of a sudden it's done. So they end up crashing into what appears to be like a mountainous environment. They tried to land on this like flat area, but it didn't go so well. And they obviously come crashing. The wings come off the damn plane. They slide, and they do the typical slide to the end of the edge of the cliff trope. And now they're a little bit down, so now they're able to see down the valley a bit. And all of a sudden, the plane is empty. Nobody's there, except for these guys. So you got that, and then all of a sudden, they literally flip out, and they're now into another one, right? So they're now into another hellscape or whatever you want to call it. This one is a Mocklin one, and it turns out that this is a Mocklin morgue. And apparently they suspend their dead in these pods for 9 days or something like that.
So
I
they
can't remember.
Finish up their business on Mockless.
Yeah. I wonder what they do with these pods after. Do they just send them all to a Genesis planet?
They probably eat them.
Maybe eat them, yeah. That's possible.
They totally do.
The sad thing is, you're probably fairly.
Mocklins eat everything. So
yeah, they eat everything, including their own people. But anyway, so Bortus lets them know that this is a morgue, and he comes up, and we find out that Bortus's fear is actually of dying, or at least what to deal with when dying, because we come across him in the pod, and he's looking at himself, and then himself tries to choke himself. So.
Dead Bortus kind of looks like Clyden, living Clyden to me. I don't know why.
A little, yeah.
But anyway,
it's probably the makeup. But anyway, so he's struggling with his dead counterpart, and then at this point we see his eyes go. So obviously this is when he dies, and then at this point it stops, but they're still in the environment, which I thought was kind of weird. And then they go towards this new door that just showed up. And it turns into a staircase, and that staircase just goes down and down and down. So anyway, we go back to the Orville. I don't know why we got an external shot and then it went back to this again, but anyway.
I think there's just the scene with the Orville is just about Lamar recalling the other team, right?
Oh, you know what? You might be right. Yeah, I think it's too dark to see, but I think the shuttle's coming back in. I think you're right. Yeah. So anyway, we see this long staircase. Somebody asked, is there anything under us? And the answer was no. Very, very long staircase, obviously from someone's childhood, I'm guessing. And then now we're on, what's Talia's home planet called?
Salea.
That's it. And this is apparently a lake on Salea.
And quite a good observation by Ed. When he says, obviously we're in a simulation. And everybody's
real
like, "What do you
Selena.
mean?" He goes, "Well, we'd be dead if we weren't. If we were
Yeah,
on
because of the
Selena.
fact that
we'd be
the
crushed."
gravity is
Yeah.
way
Everybody
way
but
higher.
Tala, but
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
not Tala, you know. So I had
Technically, they
forgotten.
would all be dead.
But again, I had forgotten Tala was this infiltrator or whatever, and so I assumed this. Oh, this is when Tala her eyes will go.
Yeah,
gray
I
or
think that was the whole
Yeah.
point. It was a misdirection. But they end up seeing like a flashing light, which was like a Morse code type thing. And they find this raft, and they're like, "Okay, well, let's take the raft over, and we'll go examine it." All these scenes are really dark. I don't know if it was just let's shoot it in the sunlight and then put a really dark filter on it, but it's brutal for screenshots. So we'll try to get through these as quick as we can. But basically, they set it towards the light. Then all the light stops, and we can't see it here, but there's a massive thing underneath this. I guess it's some sort of tentacle thingy, because it grabs Kelly and just pulls her right in, and it's pulling her hard. And then at this point, I think it's Tala that goes in, doesn't it? Yeah, it's Tala that goes in.
But it's fake Tala.
Fake Tala. Yes, Dave, thank you. And she ends up grabbing her, and we see part of the beast here, which we didn't get a great picture.
Well,
I
guess the only clue we get here, right? That Tala is the fake Tala, because we see Kelly's eyes go cloudy.
They go cloudy, yep.
Right, but we don't see it to Tala or fake Tala. But when they get up to back up to the beach or whatever, Tala says, "Oh, I experienced it too," which is the only kind of clue we get that Tala's.
Which is weird, because she shouldn't be, because the staircase thing I'm pretty sure wasn't Tala. That was probably somebody else's. So I'm guessing it was probably Kelly's. But anyway, they end up on the beach on the other side, and at this point, the castle shows up. The castle just shows up out of nowhere, at least the door to the castle, not the entire castle. And they all just look at it, and then Ed's like, "You know what? I'm not going through that. I'm done with this shit. This is obviously somebody's playing with us, and I'm done." So the light didn't continue, so they're like, "Okay, we're done." And then when they refused, all of a sudden they're in this kind of red environment. I guess it's like a cave kind of thing. I don't remember this part, quite honestly. And I only just watched
where they blow the thing up.
This is where they find the device that appears to be a holographic projector of some sort. And of course, Gordon tries to touch it, and he gets zapped by the shield that's around it. It's got this nice little shield. Somebody disables it. And then at that point, Mercer blows it up. It blows up. And then all of a sudden, they're back on the sand. So obviously, this was the device that was making these things happen. And at this point, Kelly has pretty good looking hair for somebody who's just in the water. But, blow dryers are amazing. But anyway, she's like, "Well, we should take these pieces back and see if we can figure out what they are." So they end up getting in their shuttle. They return back to the ship. At this point, Claire basically says, "Yeah, someone's been tapping into all your brains." So I'm guessing the human brains are, well, we can probably see it.
The human brains are the red ones.
Bortis is the blue.
So
I'm guessing Talia.
Fake Talia
is a little more
purplish.
Yeah. Yeah. But she basically says someone's been kind of jumping into your heads and doing shit, which of course is not great. And Kelly puts on I'm very upset face. And they do the scan of this thing. They figure out what it was. And at this point, they talk to the Admiral Halsey, right? Halsey?
Right. Well, yeah, they think that it's a Kalon thing, and like this is again all part of like the plot of.
This is part of the ruse, yeah.
Fake Tala, who already planted the seed that. I detected some Kalon, rather,
you know what? I totally forgot about that. You're right.
In the very first scene when Fake Tala comes back from vacation or whatever, and so it seems like, okay, well, with those two pieces of information, I guess this is fake Admiral Halsey, right?
I guess, yeah.
He's not the real person. So, like all of this is to say, okay, well, we're gonna give the fragments over to the convoy we're sending to you, and then they're gonna take it back to Earth. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a convoy on the way. So the convoy, they finally get information. The convoy is on its way, and basically at that point, Isaac goes, "That's not ours. That's something else, but it ain't us. And of course, stupid Charlie jumps in again. We can't trust him. We can't trust him. He killed my lesbian lover.
It's fake Charlie.
It's even fake Charlie, yeah. But anyway, so Isaac's like, nope. This is definitely a Kalon threat. Blah blah blah. So Mercer's like, yeah, no, let's go to red alert, and then that's when they start getting attacked. And all the Kalon ships just show up out of nowhere. Basically, they just kind of phase into them. And I guess this is supposed to be part of the ruse. And of course, they're getting chased around, getting shot. A lot of cool little scenes in this part. I thought was kind of nice. We get to see, the obligatory shots, and then we see some lady we've never seen before, and she says something, but I can't remember what it was. If anybody does, feel free to pipe up.
I think this is when we find out that Tala, the whole Tala thing reveal happens here, because this is somebody at Tala's station.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're right. So anyway, we get that reveal. And we all of a sudden get a communication from Tala saying, she's ready to board.
What are you talking about? You were already on the ship?
You've been. Lamar even says to her, "You've been on the ship for hours. What the hell's going on?" And this is when we go back to the red alert again, and they're still being chased by these things. So anyway, they get shot a bunch of times and whatnot. Your typical stuff. We get them thrown around. Then at that point, we see now this I thought was interesting. This is Gordon's again, because if you notice, Gordon's eyes, they're white.
So he thinks he's going to die.
Anytime he thinks he's going to die. Yeah. So Gordon thinks he's going to die. Charlie, however, doesn't think she's going to die, which is interesting.
But it's not really Charlie.
But it's not. You're right. And, at this point, I don't even remember what happens here.
Everyone freezes because the
oh, that's right. And only the away team are the people that are still moving around. Yeah. And the ship, oh, yes. And then it shows you the ship is attached to it, basically. But only a couple of them are actually moving around. Everybody else is just frozen in time, including this Kalon scout ship that I guess was going for ramming speed. Would be probably the indication here. And then at this point, Tala jumps up, and turns out, not Tala. This is, I can't remember her name. Tron Chick. We'll just call her that. So Tron Chick shows up, and she starts explaining that, this is kind of, this is a simulation. And
Denal is the name.
Denal. There you go. I like Tron Chick better. But anyway, so she kind of explains, I'm from so-and-so, remember when Kelly was a god?
Kendar won. Yeah.
Kendar won. There you go. So, and she basically explains that. She's like, anybody want tea? And everybody's like, I'll pass. And then she's like, let me show you where you actually are. And turns out they're back on the planet. So the four of them, obviously, Tala isn't actually with them because Tala was her. So there's actually only four of them with them. And Kelly's like, yeah, no, I made a boo-boo there. Sorry about that. And she's like, yeah, it's fine. It's water under the bridge. We have other things to do now. And by the way, now I'm immortal. And they're all like, oh, well, that's good, I guess. But, maybe not. And then at this point, she basically is like, this is like a life lesson kind of thing. We wanted to know what it was like to be mortal again. And we put you through all this because of that. Basically is the summary of it. And Mercer didn't seem too happy about it. Then she kind of takes off, and then all of a sudden communication is restored with Lamar. Lamar's like, we lost you for a while, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, coming back up. So now they're all sitting around in the mess hall, and they're having their drinks, as they seem to do quite often on this ship. And basically, I can't remember what Mercer's wise words are here, but
it's about because that they're being studied because the Kendarians are now immortal. 50,000 years of evolution, we're also told, is the wrong word, but like they've developed into something new, and that so they basically wanted to experience the fear of death through their kind of mortal eyes. Mm-hmm. And so Ed's little wise words here at the end is about our inability, our limitation to not be able to sort of visualize death, because Kelly says, well, it could be like the black void, but even then you're perceiving a black void, right? So So you can't imagine nothingness is really what it comes down to, or non-existence. But Ed also wants to live forever. If he given the chance to be immortal, he would take it.
There you go. So anyway, that's pretty much the whole episode from what I remember. I don't think there was any other scenes past this, was there?
And I would also like to live forever.
I would as well.
Yeah.
Nah, I'd get too
for exactly the reason Ed says. I want to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you go. Curiosity kills the cat, though.
Luckily, they have time travel, so I guess he could do that. But anyway.
Yeah. So basically, he makes a joke, and that's the pretty much end of the episode. So there you go. So that is the episode as it is, and it is kind of boring. I'm not going to change my mind on that. We don't have Adam today.
I got the stuff for you here.
Oh, do you? Oh, perfect. Then it's time for what is it? It's
details discovered by Dave.
Oh, there you go. Delta details discovered by Dave.
Sometimes they're Delta. How about this, Jody? In a Reddit thread discussing Mortality Paradox, many users have compared Denal to Q from Star Trek in comparison to likely both characters being immortal and who take an interest in and interfere in the lives of a starship crew.
I could see that. She doesn't seem as goofy as he was, but
back in the classroom scene where the teacher says that the Triple Entente in World War I was Russia, England, and France, that's not correct. It was actually Russia, Britain, and France. Britain at the time consisted of England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. It should be noted, while Britain includes England, England is not Britain. And,
this is very true, and they will definitely tell you that.
Before going to the planet, Mercer calls for Lamar to take the con, and Charlie assumes command of the ship. Lamar, being a lieutenant commander, and Charlie being an ensign, she should have remained at the con station while Lamar is coming upstairs to take the captain's chair.
Yeah, that one kind of threw me a bit, too.
It's an act of total insanity to run back into the high school that you've only just escaped from. Not even the most irrationally panicking people would return to a trap looking for safety. And also, by that point, they were no longer being chased.
Yeah.
Denal tells the team that what they discovered was completely real. Each trial had been a pocket universe created from their memories. Then they assures them that they were never in any real danger. One of these statements has to be a lie.
Yeah, I guess it would.
It can't. The experience cannot be completely real, and yet not any danger, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's one or the other. What else? A bonus feature on Hulu, Andre Bormanis, the co-executive producer and the writer of the series, describes this episode as being a bit of a departure from the Orville, almost bordering on fantasy. He states that Ed went from Naran 1 because he loves a mystery. Director John Cassar found it exciting and different to film in the new environments. And according to Bormanis, Denal's abilities are through extremely advanced technology. This episode is 61 minutes long, including all the credits, but not the commercials, which makes it approximately 10 minutes shorter than the previous two installments, though still the third longest episode of the series to this point.
Yep.
Denal states that the Orville visited her planet about 2 years prior. As the Orville visited Candor 1 around April or May of 2420, Mortality Paradox takes place in early 2422. Denal states that 50,000 years have passed on her planet since the Orville left, because time in her universe passes at a rate of 700 years for every 11 days aboard the Orville. That means that the end of the mad idolatry took place 2.15 years ago. I'm sure that's all helping. When Ed, Kelly, Bordas, and Tala leave for Naran, they place John Lamar. I already kind of talked about this in command. However, the episode Command Performance is established that after the first officer and second officer, the chief security officer Tala would be the next in command. Actually, so it actually should be Claire Finn, not Lamar, who should take command. But
oh yeah, okay.
During the battle against the Kalon, Charlie Burke states that helm control is down. Charlie is the navigator, and her control panel shows the navigational ray. Helm control is operated by the acting navigator sitting beside her. And
That's a big goof.
the body of the airplane is a Boeing 737-800NG, but the cockpit belongs to either a Boeing 757 or 767, for all you airplane nerds out there. And I think that's all the trivia for today.
Well, thank you.
All the details.
You definitely filled in for Adam, so awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Now, we have a little unfinished business with our ratings because a certain mustached individual wasn't here last week. So we
right.
didn't get his rating for that still. So what did you rate Shadow Realms?
Wow, you guys like that, eh?
I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty good.
I was okay.
I like the last half of it.
The first half is
first half dragged like crazy.
Yeah.
Better than this. I'd give it maybe a 7. It's better than this one.
All right, which kind of preambles us into what the next one's going to be. Adam's not here, so Dave, how did you feel about this episode?
Like I said, mid. So I'm gonna go. I don't know, like 6.5, maybe. I guess something like.
All right. Now, Kevin, you kind of already gave it away,
Yeah,
but I'm
I
pretty sure
think-
it's going to be lower than 7.
I think I'm a 6 on this.
6. All right. And
There's some stuff I like, but not enough. Not enough.
yeah, and I'm with Dave. It's a 6.5 max. Like it's okay. It's not like The Child or Sub Rosa, but it's like,
Well, of course it's not Sub Rosa. That's an amazing episode.
Yeah, that's a 10.
you guys are so wrong. Anyway, so
Maybe
we
not
gave it
high.
an average of 6.3. IMDb gives it a 7.8, which is absolutely absurd.
Well, it's higher rated than the 2 previous episodes.
Yeah,
too.
which is just
Yeah.
absurd. What is wrong with you people on the internet? Anyway, combined average is 7.1. So, Dave, there is
Jody,
another
what's next?
question. I knew you were going to ask that, Dave. And funny enough, I still didn't have it queued up. But now I do. And it's Gently Falling Rain. And that is the Orville crew leads the Union delegation to sign a peace treaty with the Krill.
I remember this episode.
This is a good episode. I remember
Yeah.
this would be pretty good. And lots of action in this episode as well. So that should be good. But you know what? We got action here, Dave, but we got action everywhere else on this network of podcasts. And what do you have on the go right now?
We got a lot going on. So, of course, we're well into the Orville now, as you've just covered over this last hour. We will be back returning with our Star Trek: The Next Generation reviews this Thursday, covering The Child, season 2, episode 1. I got a great panel. It's going to be Ashley, Heather, and Jane to talk all about it. So I'll be with
the female
ladies.
perspective.
Yes.
And Dave.
And me.
Yeah, female perspective and Dave.
Yeah, so we got that. We're also
He was waiting for a joke there, but I didn't do it.
coming up. Also, I think we're probably gonna do it Friday night or Saturday. We're talking about the new Section 31 movie that's coming out on this Friday.
Who's the panel for that?
I know
not
Heather
know yet?
Narduzzi's on. I'm not quite sure.
I would like to be on that one, possibly.
Why.
Why not?
You hate Discovery,
Yeah.
and why would you want?
But
to
I like Section 31.
Yeah,
And
I'm excited for.
I
this
love
movie,
Michelle
even though
Yeoh.
I hate
Like-
Discovery.
Yeah. So, yeah, it might be good. Unlike Discovery.
I think it was going to be Adam and Justin, but
Okay. Well, if you got a full panel, then Kevin and I will sit in the sidelines. I
but
guess.
you go.
Oh, I was never asking to be on.
I know.
Um,
I know you were.
So anyway, we got a few, but we can talk offline about it. Yeah, sure.
Of course. Yeah.
And so that's coming up, and we just had our Star Trek Radio Theater back in December. We did our Star Trek Generation script read with a great,
a lot of fun.
With great crew. So go listen to that if you haven't already.
Even some
Edited
newcomers.
version to come, and that's all the big things I can recall at this moment.
All right, fair enough. Well, gentlemen, I think that kind of puts the nail in the coffin for this episode, because It's not a very highly rated episode.
Or maybe they nail in that floating pod thing on Mockless.
Yeah, there's probably somebody dead in that pod, but we don't know who it is. But anyway, I think we're done. Are we done, guys? We're done.
We're done.
We're done. We're done with this shit. All right. Anyway, I got to get a swear word in there somewhere because we got to be PG. All right. Anyway, live long and podcast, everyone.
See you next time, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.